If you were with me yesterday, Aggie Softball was in action, and it was an insane game. Aggies were down big. Aggies rallied to tie it late, 8-8, going into the 7th, and Aggies ended up losing. Aggie Softball goes down in their first game of the SEC tournament. And if you didn't catch the ending, a little heartbreaking, heck of a lot of drama. Runners at first and third, 2 outs, 3-2, full count pitch, gone. 3-run shot for Auburn in the top of the 7th. And that made your final 11-8. The 6 seed A&M goes down to Auburn, who was the 14 seed in the SEC tournament. Aggies lose their opening game. Now, again, yesterday discussed, but depending on who you talk to, the game meant nothing. Aggies are going to host a regional, or they're in the 16 slot. They're going to need Virginia Tech to host. Maybe there's a lot of teams that could end up, the committee can do anything they want with 15 and 16, not just 16. Or if the committee uses other metrics besides RPI, like the KRPI, and there's a couple of others, A&M could be at 12, forget 16. But losing your first round game, A&M's now lost 5 of their last 7, I think it is. They lost the South Carolina series, they lost the Oklahoma series, and now they've lost to Auburn. You have opened the door for the committee. That's what you've done. Yeah, A&M's lost 5 of their last 7. Their RPI is 16. Last team hosting, you would be like the 9th from the SEC. Does the committee need over half of the host sites to be from the same league? So Selection Sunday got way more interesting than it should be with that lost Auburn. Now, when you're 16, you can move up, you can move down day to day based upon what your opponents you played did and other teams can do. If you want to look who's behind them, Stanford, Mississippi State, Arizona at 19. Who's in front of them? Oklahoma State, Georgia, LSU. So there's still 4 days left. There's other games going on around the country. It is fluid. Surprised. I thought A&M would handle Auburn easily, but nothing worked. None of the 3 pitchers that appeared for the Aggies could get the job done. It was a rough SEC tournament, a short stay. Selection Sunday, we'll find out. And you want to throw me your prediction? What does your softball insiders tell you? You could text me. To the Diamond, Aggie baseball traveling. They're going to be in Oxford taking on Ole Miss. A&M, as we woke up this morning, they're 11 in the RPI. Ole Miss is 13. Road RPI bonuses. Take your 2 out of 3. Wake up Monday, be somewhere about probably 9 or 8 again after taking it. Other teams around A&M, Southern Miss at 10, USC at 9. Right behind them is Florida at 12, and there's Ole Miss at 13. Straightforward, nothing new to add. 2 series left at Ole Miss, hosting Mississippi State. Go 4-2, host a super. Not really worried. It would take something on the don't want to talk about them going like 1-5 level to not host a regional. Don't think it's going to happen, so I don't think the breath needs to be wasted. I'm more fascinated to see today. I think it's about lunchtime or 1 o'clock in there. They have the Aggie Baseball Media Day before they're going to head out to Oxford. And I know Coach Early's going to be asked about Fridays and Shane Sadeo. That's what I'm more interested in hearing, if there's going to be any adjustment to the weekend rotation. Thoughts I've shared all week is, if Sims is going to be your game 1 starter in the postseason, I'd prefer his first one wouldn't be in the postseason. If Weston Moss is going to go back into the starting if they're going to be your two starters and TBA will be game 3 in the postseason, I wouldn't wait to the postseason to do it. And the postseason doesn't count the SEC tournament because, you end up starting play like Wednesdays and Tuesdays and all kinds of weird stuff. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see if there's any change. And we could find out today. So I've got my ear open. Can't wait. Be monitoring the news when it comes out somewhere. 12:31. Coach Early's going to be meeting with the media. Actually, hold on. I say when. I got a piece of paper here. Coach Early. Oh. We'll be checking out that. 979-693-1150. Something caught my attention. Aggie baseball related. Mock draft. The Athletic. MLB. Chris Hakopian at number 11 to the Washington Nationals. Chris Hakopian at number 11 to the Washington Nationals. That caught my attention. I know Rusty Burson was asking, musing, texted us, could the Aggies have 3 first-round picks for the MLB draft? 2. Most ever that he could find was like 2 Aggies in the first round. They've had 3 and 4. 3 and 4. So, yeah. Saw one projected today by The Athletic, and it was Chris Hakopian at number 11. It'll be interesting to see how it does play out. In my own head, I'm thinking to myself, how could, Gavin Grahovic not be? Caden Sorrell is having this monster season. I will never pretend to ever, ever, ever be dead serious when I say this too. Ever pretend to be a mock draft, draft expert, even amateur, when we're talking about MLB mocking drafts. NFL, I can pretend to be a professional amateur mock draft NFL, but not MLB. That's just a waste of time. So we'll see what happens with that. But Chris Hakopian at number 11, staying in the Maroon and White notebook. Caught this, Luke Evangelist and others. Okay, I'm interrupting myself. Michael Early met earlier with the media. He did announce the new weekend rotation. I'm so happy I found this because he didn't meet at 1 o'clock. Normally it's like 1 o'clock on Thursday. It was earlier. He just met with them. Let me share this with you. The weekend rotation is Friday night is now Ethan Darden. Friday night is Ethan Darden's going to get the start. The lefty Ethan Darden, who was a starter and had been impressing in relief for A&M. Saturday is still Aiden Sims, and Sunday's TBA. So I told you I had to check this. I had a piece of paper announcing when he's going to speak. So Michael Early met with the media earlier, just, about an hour ago. Normally it's like 12 or 1 on Thursday, but I guess, travel plans change. So we've already answered my greatest riddle. There is a change to the weekend rotation. Friday night is going to be Ethan Darden, again, who was a starter before. And then Aiden Sims stays on Saturday. Sunday is TBA. The follow-up now is what will be the plan, and this fascinates me, what will be the plan for Shane Sadeo, who I've been fascinated to see if this guy can be a stud in the bullpen. Just because in your starts, it hasn't translated to success. If you put him in the pen, maybe he gets to drop a pitch, and they don't think long relief, but tell him he's in there for 2 innings, and he can throw every pitch like it's his last. It can be completely different. Sadeo could be... I'm thinking of the MLB thing where you've seen starters that had no success end up being like closers of the century. So I wonder if Sadeo in the pen could provide a boost to the bullpen where it just wasn't happening as a starter now. On the Sunday TBA, if you've got Moss and then Sadeo out of the pen, they're still Lions. In other words, with this switch, if Darden can be good, I didn't say special, magical, Friday night starter of the year. If he could be good on Fridays, Sadeo out of the pen works. And then you think about Sundays. Moss into Lyons into Sadeo. Everything could change. A lot of things could happen almost as a domino effect. A lot of things can happen almost as a domino effect from here. The step one, you need Darden to just be good. He doesn't have to be great. If he's great, you'll take it. You're not going to tell him, hey, man, you need to slow down. You're pitching too good. But it's fascinating. With 2 weekends to go, and again, it'd been obvious for some time, but it's good to see that it wasn't going to go down with the ship levels. But again, Sadeo out of the pen can be absolutely brilliant. It's not the same thing as starting. And I hope the Darden thing, see, here's the third thing, because again, step by step, I hope this isn't one of those things where they're going to throw Darden for an inning and hoping that an opener fixes things. You know, and then they're still actually thinking Sadeo's a starter. Like Sadeo throws, or Darden's there to throw 1 inning. Where Darden before was invaluable late innings, but now you're going to just use him for an inning as an opener and then have Sadeo come in the second. We still have to see how it's going to play out, what the actual plan is. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what we're going to do. Now that I know that Coach Early spoke earlier than normal, we'll do a listening. We'll hear how he explained it, everything he did say exactly. We have the announcement because he met with the media, but we'll listen into exactly everything he had to say about it and how he explained it and see if there's the details. If Darden's the starter or if Darden's the opener for Friday night. I'm fascinated by this. I'm just happy to see something was done. Let's grab a quick timeout. We'll come right back. It is the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. It is the Louie Bellina Show, Thursday on The Zone.
Oh, hello, friends. The Louie Bellina Show.
Nope, not today.
It might not be about the journey or the destination. Nobody really knows.
Wow, man.
Listen in weekdays 11 to 2 on The Zone.
The Zone.
The Louie Bellina Show. We're just getting started. The Louie Bellina Show. Again, we always kick things off inside the Maroon and White universe. The Maroon and White notebook. Again, we were talking Aggie Softball eliminated SEC tournament that made Selection Sunday a whole heck of a lot, way too interesting for my taste. And Aggie Baseball, and we were just kind of talking Chris Hakopian projected number 11 to the Nationals and talking about the final 2 weekends. And again, A&M head coach Michael Early had his media day and announced there is a change. Friday night will be Ethan Darden as the starter. Ethan Darden will get the start. And again, we're going to do a listen-in with him either at 12:35, 1:35. We'll listen into what he had to say because I need to know if he announced that he's the starter or he's an opener for Friday night. Is Sadeo going to come in the second or third? And, you know, what's the exact plan is a little more interesting to me. Because, again, what will be the approach? Aiden Sims Saturday and still the TBA on Sunday. Because the Aggie baseball team is pretty straightforward. The only thing standing between them and Omaha is their pitching. This offense is pretty unbeatable. You know, it's funny to me. The Auburn pitching staff managed the A&M offense, the best of the team. And they still, 5 runs and 5 runs. If you can average 5 runs a game in SEC play, you've got a great offense. But they're not averaging. They're averaging almost like 8.5, 9. But Auburn, held them to like 5 runs per game, and that was the best of any pitching staff that you saw. That's how great the A&M offense is. And the only thing standing between them and Omaha is the pitching staff. So it's nice to see some changes, and I'm interested to see what the plan is for Friday. Now, Ethan Darden announced as the starter, Sims Saturday, and again, TBA. And I'm fascinated to see what Sadeo will look like out of the pen. Again, long relief, just 2 innings. What do they want him to do? Now, moving on in the Maroon and White notebook. Saw this from Luke Evangelos. But A&M basketball, buckyball, they will not be in the Players Era Festival tournament this upcoming year. If you remember the story behind this Players Era Festival, Aggie basketball was supposed to be in it last year. And then Buzz left. Somehow Buzz took that spot with him, and Maryland was in it this year, but not A&M. And then Bucky got A&M back into the Players Era Festival because they were expanding to 32 teams. Well, there was a huge bunch of announcements. The Players Era, and I call it Festival, the Players Era Championship is now an exclusive to ESPN. So all the games will be on ESPN. They've expanded the field to 24, not 32, which meant A&M's not in it because originally A&M was going to be in a 32-team field, but it's not 32. So A&M's no longer in it. And this Players Era Championship, I find it fascinating. I wish A&M was in it because this field is elite, but also it's kind of cool. It's 24 teams. It's 2 weekends. The first weekend is an 8-team tournament, and the second weekend is 16. It's two different things. They're not connected. And they're now bracket play. Before the Players Era had this really dumb, you can go 2-0 and not play for the championship somehow. Now this is traditional bracket play, and it's an 8-team bracket on the first weekend, and it's a 16-team on the second bracket, and all the games are on ESPN. And what made this so inviting, why teams wanted to play, is they're just throwing money all over the place for NIL. And now they got ESPN money backing it too. It's the week of November 16th and the week of November 8th. November 16th is the 8-team bracket. November 23rd is the 16-team bracket. And they know the fields. When I say this is loaded, if you're a college basketball fan, the 8-team bracket, Florida, Houston, Kansas. That's the top at Auburn, which till the Steve Pearl thing was elite too. West Virginia, Notre Dame, Rutgers, UNLV. The 16-team bracket, I ain't going to read them all, but the highlights: Michigan, Alabama, Gonzaga, St. John's, Louisville, Tennessee, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Maryland. Incredible field. But A&M hoops, buckyball, will not be in that field because they committed to the 24 and expanded at 32. They didn't have slots left for the teams they tried to add. So it'll be interesting to see where A&M goes. ESPN is always about adding content, programming. They have so many platforms, so many channels, and there's a million. Do you remember under Buzz, they played in some tournament on the beach? Was it the Myrtle Beach Invitational or something? It's one of those tournaments that I never knew existed before, and I forgot it existed till right now. So it'll be interesting to see. And for me, in year 2 of buckyball, but it's not really year 2 because it's a whole new team again. Like if it was returning like 10 of your players, you'd probably want one type of schedule. But since almost the entire team is learning your system again, what schedule do you want until the system clicks? The talent level, you'd want to challenge with a certain schedule, but since they're all learning again, what kind of schedule do you want? I'm fascinated by that concept. What does Bucky want to do? They return M'Baku, who didn't play. He's brand new. He did go through he was injured the whole time. But Clements and Vincent are the only two that played that are returning. And neither one of them were starters. Clements down the stretch did get some starts, but you understand. And the rest of the team is brand new again. M'Baku would be a first-time starter, mixed in with Haggerty and Tyson Archie, Jalen Shelley, Jalen Reese, Cade Phillips, Bryson Warren, and the 2 freshmen who Logan loves, and I've seen other experts go, they're going to play. And that's Monday and Irving. So again, they got to learn the system. How far do you challenge them? The talent level is insane and off the chart. So it'll be interesting to see what level of schedule you want to challenge that team with. But A&M Hoops will not be in that Players Era Championship. Now, speaking of basketball, I wanted to share something with you. It didn't just happen today or yesterday, but fascinating from the modern world of college athletics we live in. What that means is money, 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 money. Duke signed a deal with Amazon streaming, and they sold them 3 of their college basketball games to Amazon to be streamed. They're 3 non-conference games, and they're 3 of their neutral site non-conference games. Duke is going to face UConn in Las Vegas November 25th. Duke is going to face Michigan at Madison Square Garden. And Duke is going to face Gonzaga February 20th in Detroit. All 3 are against, I would say, legacy, include Gonzaga in that, type college basketball. Blue Bloods, even if Gonzaga, but they're like 20 years now of a perennial. UConn speaks for itself. Michigan is Michigan, and they're defending national champs. So they sold those 3 games. And it's not just those 3 games. This is a long-term deal. It's a 4-year deal that, Prime Video will get 3 for the next, I don't know if it's 3 or longer. It'll be the non-cons. This is the first time that Amazon has got into any college sports. It's the first deal they've ever signed. So, fascinating, yes. For Duke, they're saying this is all NIL money. It's the deal they've signed. Here's where, so for Duke, innovative, modern, streaming platforms, some undiscovered country in the college athletics world. Now, if you count ESPN Plus, the ESPN app, the worst app in the history of app kind, but still. But one school selling individual games. We're used to conferences selling bulk. The ACC, here's where it gets even more interesting. I believe it's the Big Ten. Michigan said, wait a minute. That's a Michigan game. You don't have the right to do that. You knew the Big Ten would fight it, right? You know the Big Ten. They got to have a say in everything, even things they should just shut up and have no say in. So we're already going to have a legal test on this. But the innovativeness of this, how would those games fall under no TV contract anywhere? That's interesting too. If this is a thing, I'd argue that within 12 months, every school of Duke stature, the Blue Bloods, if other streaming services are interested, and when you first get the most money, because when everyone else does it, then it becomes the buyer's market, not the seller's market. When you're first and you're Duke or you're North Carolina or probably Michigan. But then what if Michigan wants to sell their game with Duke? Well, then you'll get the Michigan broadcast on Netflix and the Duke version on Prime. There will be a reckoning with this, I think. And then when it devalue them for both, then there'll have to be some kind of money back. Anyway, the modern athletic world we live in. But yeah, Duke, great for them. I did not see dollar amounts though. That's the one thing. How much did Amazon pay? How much did Amazon pay for this? But it's 3 games a year. And they have to be the neutral site ones. Because if I'm not mistaken, to the best of my flawed, broken, many years, many beers knowledge, those games are owned by promoters. So do the promoters have the final say? I would imagine so. They pay for the games. Now, before we take a timeout, and Maroon and White notebook generally 9.5 times out of 10 refers to current kind of games, current Aggie athletes and current sports. But Johnny Manziel transcends all and always will for the most part. Greatest A&M football athlete in Aggie football history. He is going to do a celebrity boxing match. And I find it kind of tragic, find it kind of sad. I guess it keeps your name in the headlines. I guess if you're going to get paid, why not? He is going to step into the boxing ring on May 23rd at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. He's going to fight a social media influencer, Bob Menery. No idea who that is. The fight is going to be promoted by a kick streamer, Aiden Ross. It's his brand Risk Promotions. And it's what they do. They pit celebrities against content creators in boxing matches. Didn't know it was a thing. There'd been rumors about this match taking place. They thought they'd fight in Miami. Nope, it's Vegas. And the reason it's UFC Apex is that UFC CEO Dana White, and I don't know why this is true or a thing, but he has expressed interest in the fight. White and this celebrity, the social media influencer, Bob Menery, White and Menery have had, quote unquote, a tumultuous relationship. And Dana White said he'd bet $10K that Menery would back out of the fight, which until it happens, he still could. So Dana White could be out $10K if the two actually fight. So there's history behind this. Now, until that bell rings, then they're both in the ring and the first glove gets thrown. The fight hasn't happened, but scheduled for May 23rd, A&M legend Johnny Manziel is going to box social media influencer Bob Menery at the UFC Apex in Vegas. And Johnny Manziel is 33. As much headlines as he's made, why do I feel like he's 103? And the thing is, his glory days are now about 2 years at A&M, and it's been 12 years. So 6 times longer have been the scandals and the rumors and, all the stuff that you just kind of want to ignore and remember the glory days are 6 times longer than the actual 2 years of glory, right? He's going to fight a content creator, a social media influencer in one of those celebrity boxing matches. If Dana White was smart, he wouldn't bet that Menery would show up. He would bet that Manziel wouldn't show up because it seems that Johnny has trouble showing up to things at times. That would have been the bet to make. We'll take a timeout. I'm sad. It's the Louie Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Built on faith, family, and community. CC Electric. It's the Louie Bellina Show on the Zone.
All right, listen up, class.
The money machine is open now.
No.
Make sure to enter each week
Everyone comes out a winner.
at zone1150.com or through the Zone newsletter to win $5,000.
The Louie Bellina Show. That's correct. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks for the company. Coming up at 12 o'clock, Cedric Golden, Austin America Statesman on the D4 Land Services Hotline. Coming up at 1 o'clock, Rusty Burson, Aggie historian and author on the D4 Land Services Hotline. Coming up in the next, it's like 10 minutes or shorter. We're going to open the ticket booth thanks to Dixie Tire Company. I got a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. Have some text messages I want to hit up, though. We were talking about Johnny Manziel is going to be taking on a social media influencer in one of those celebrity boxing matches. We'll see if it happens May 23rd. Who's going to buy the pay-per-view? Oh, boy. A couple of text messages. One says he's 103 in social media years. That's good. He's 33, Johnny Manziel. And again, feels like he's 103 from all the headlines. And again, they're not exactly hot to trot headlines. And then J84, I hope Johnny gets his bleep kicked. I'm glad he played here, but I hate him. Now, you see, okay, that's a line for me I don't want to cross. I don't hate Johnny at all. I don't go personal with any of this. Johnny Manziel is an icon and a legend of Aggie football. And I will never forget the pure joy, the excitement. If you were here, he did things you've never seen before, you never saw since. He created emotions in Aggie fans that maybe some Aggie fans didn't know they had. And if he goes on to destroy his own life, if he goes on to be one of the top busts of all time in the NFL draft, why am I going to hate him for that? Like, it's not personal. And sometimes that's where fans kind of get confused in sports. Never make it personal. No team goes, you know what? Louie wants us to win tonight, guys. We're going to throw this one. Louie's really rooting hard for us. Let's just butcher the game. Let's forfeit. It's never personal. You say you hate him. I get sad. I would like to be able to look at the greatest football player in Aggie football history and be proud. And you can't be proud of Johnny Manziel because of everything that's happened once his career ended. You know, the Scooby-Doo stuff when he was here was hilarious to me. The thing with the cigars, he was ahead of his time. You look at the modern athlete now, and Johnny was ahead of. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a good look. It's not very representative of how A&M tends to hold itself. But he was just ahead of his time. But still, it's all the stuff since. Because he's tarnished that legacy and stuff, right? He's just made it hard to say Johnny Manziel and then just swell with pride and want to celebrate. But don't go personal about the hate. Wow, that's sports should never be personal. We've had coaches here and people have said he's fat and he's ugly. No, never. It's not personal. Teams don't, they have the final walkthrough and they go, guys, Billy Ray Bob 42 loves hot dogs. Screw him. Throw a pick on the first play. It doesn't work like that. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. Yeah, what Johnny Manziel did. He was a live action controller video game, up, down, down, X. It was some of the most fun Aggie football has ever been in the history of Aggie football. Can I ask that question? A generic out of nowhere, but what's the most fun you've ever had watching Aggie football? See, that's totally open to your interpretation. There is no right or wrong. What's the most fun you have had watching Aggie football? Because that one year, because the second year wasn't as much fun. But the Johnny Manziel Heisman year, you had to watch every single snap because he had that, you had no idea what he was going to do. And he did things that he had no idea he was going to do. Yeah, he was beyond, and for those that are, they're like, yeah, Lou, we know, we were there. But for those that weren't, that expectation of the unexpected on every single snap made every moment must-see TV. And you could talk about, this player was great. No, he wasn't great. He transcended that. He was the Heisman Trophy winner. It wasn't even close. Yeah. And then everything since is like, oh, no, please, no. So anyway, 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. Most fun you've ever had watching Aggie football. Because the Manziel year, an entire year, when he came back and they go to the Cotton Bowl, and I'm sitting there going like, oh no, he's done the Heisman circuit. They're going to get destroyed by OU. Like in my head, I was really kind of scared and concerned that, because you've seen it so many times. They've taken a break. They've lost the midseason form. Johnny's been distracted. The Heisman circuit and all that. And that the cherry on top, the absolute destruction, annihilation. It was the final exclamation. And see, for some people, bowls now, if you're not in the college football playoff, what are bowls now? You're missing about 40 to 50 of the players from the regular season. Players are injured. Players are preparing for the NFL draft. Players are in the NI portal. How many different reasons now are players not there for bowl games? People want to defend the bowl system. Nobody plays in bowls. Coaches and coaching staffs are gone. I always ran against the bowls, but I've always said, but I have no problem with them existing. They're entertainment again. Some fans travel. For the players that are there, they get a week of free food, that per diem check and more. Okay. But bowls now have fallen to the point where there's 30 to 50 players missing. Coaching staffs entire are gone. Nobody involved wants to participate. Fans don't travel anymore. They're great content. They're great. What else are you going to watch in the holidays? I've seen Frosty 82 times. He's a good friend of mine. I love the dude, but still. So anyway, the whole bowl season thing, I say again, yeah, that's another thing that needs to be evaluated. How weird does this sound? We love college football, and there's change coming real soon. I mean real soon. We've had the AFCA, American Football Coaches Association, put forward the 4 changes they want. Everyone's talking about 2014 college football playoff. Behind the scenes, the people that actually matter, which is going to be like the chancellors, those are the people, which are your presidents and stuff, they're actually still working on 16, just so you'll know. I wouldn't mind seeing, and this sounds weird, if the bowl, because the calendar needs to change. We have so much clutter at the end. Do you know how uncluttered it'd be with no bowl season and just the playoffs? And you could start the playoffs 2 weeks later and the portal's January. And if you didn't have to deal with all the P4s, hire away the Gs. So the P4s have no coaching staffs. The Gs don't either because they're coming from the Ps. You have all that. Get rid of the bowls. Do you understand how decluttered the whole world becomes with no bowls and just and just CFP games? They're going to get rid of the conference championships. Everyone involved kind of knows that's the truth now. They'll be gone. The bowl games are gone. Just CFP games and a portal. And everything changes. Just if you think about that new calendar for a second. It sounds like I'm being a little extreme. No. All these realities are starting to sink in. Is 6-6 need a reward? Now, what does ESPN do without those bowls for content? That is the final hurdle, because that is content for ESPN. Well, maybe if they have more player era festival, college basketball, will that provide the same what they need? That's the last thing remaining. I got a text message. We're going to the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox. Texas Mobile and Lube Express, owned by Gabriel Garcia. This is the Johnny Manziel memory. I mean, this is probably the memory. I'm telling you, that OU game, that was so vicious. And I know that's the meaningless bowl game, that memory for me. But I know it's not the quote from the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox. It was anonymous. When they beat Alabama, it was electrifying. Lost my voice and I was at home. The town didn't sleep that night. You say the town didn't sleep that night. 3 days later, 4 days later, 5 days later, people were electric. Like, people were still buzzing. You know, a big win. You're buzzing for days, but it wasn't just buzzing. Post Alabama, can I say a week later? That thing didn't wear off, man. That Alabama game, the Alabama win. Remember something. If you want to know the impact of Johnny Manziel, he single-handedly changed Nick Saban. Nick Saban, double tight I formation. Johnny Manziel made Nick Saban realize the future of college football. He made Nick Saban hire Lane Kiffin to be his offensive coordinator and change everything he believed offensively, everything he did offensively, and get 3 straight like Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks and move his dynasty 10 years into the future. That's all Johnny Manziel's fault. Yes, but it's true. Johnny Manziel made Nick Saban realize and accept and change. That's how special Johnny Manziel was. When we come back, how about, see, Jeanette, you thought I was going to forget. Jeanette doubts me a lot. Jeanette always gives me that look of like, yeah, whatever. You thought I was going to forget, Jeanette, but that's why we have these special graphics in the studio. Ha! Ha! I'm special? Well, I mean, we know that. Thank you. My producer, Jeanette, everybody. So what we're going to do before we take the time out is I promised that the ticket booth would be open thanks to Dixie Tire Company. I did. And you know, many years, many beers equals many forgotten things, right? Caller number 5, all zone Brian Broadcasting prize eligibility rules, they apply. Caller number 5 at 979-693-1150. I'll give you a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. Also, I need to put this out there. If you've never won Rudy's Barbecue before, you or anyone in your family, and you're caller 5, you can win a $50 gift card to Rudy's Barbecue. 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. All zone Brian Broadcasting prize rules apply. If you or no one in your family has won Rudy's Barbecue before, today is a good day. The ticket booth is open thanks to Dixie Tire Company. If you ever need your flat fix, if you need tire and wheel rotations, Dixie Tire Company. They're open Monday through Friday till 6, Saturday till 1, and you can call them at 775-TIRE. They're Dixie Tire Company.
Check this out.
Follow The Zone on Twitter X and get score updates on your favorite A&M teams like football, basketball, baseball, softball, and soccer. Follow us on Twitter X.
Are you hearing this?
At Zone1150.
The Louie Bellina Show. We're done with our first hour. No, we're not. Let's go to the Texas Mobile and Lube Express inbox. Eric texted and said, my favorite football season are the seasons preceding the 86 and 88 Cotton Bowls. Man, you're going back to Jackie, RC, and then the decade of excellence, and holy cow, Cotton Bowls are like popping candy, man. There are some epic seasons in there for sure. Jim and Round Rock. They need to allow all teams to have the 15 postseason practices, and fewer schools will care about the lesser bowls. No, they don't. And Jim, let me tell you why. There's nobody left on the teams anymore after the season ends. All the players go in the transfer portal in December. Entire coaching staffs are gone. Look at it. That's the problem right now, is the transactional nature of the end of the season from the portal being in January. Players are gone. Players are all going to the NFL draft transfer portal. And coaching staffs too. 15 practices with what? There's nobody left on the teams, coaches and players too. So they don't need 15 postseason practices. There's no one there to practice, and there's no one to practice them. So the calendar doesn't work. Get rid of the bowls. They don't need 15 postseason practices. There's nobody there to practice. The calendar, it all needs to be looked at. The Zone is hiring. We're looking for part-time help. No prior experience is required, and you must be here in the summer and fall. If you're interested, go to zone1150.com, click menu, then apply. Stop thinking about getting into radio, always wondering what it might be like, or someday you might. We're looking for weeknights, weekends, and mornings. Go now to zone1150.com, click menu, then apply.